Hello collectors, welcome to the latest episode of the Unboxing Experience. I'm Joe Prodzik. Today I'm going to be unboxing and putting together the Green Goblin premium format figure from Sideshow Collectibles. The Green Goblin was priced at $519.99 and has an edition size of 2000. This is the companion piece to the Amazing Spider-Man statue that I received earlier this year. Got the Green Goblin statue just earlier today, so I'm pretty excited to unbox it. Now, I've seen some production photos and I've seen some in-hand photos of the Green Goblin already. My expectations are kind of on the fence with this one after seeing those photos. So I am eagerly anticipating opening this up. I want to see what this statue is all about. Now, one comment to make on the packaging was that this is, I think, my first Sideshow statue that came with these styrofoam corners. Now, normally I like the styrofoam corners because it provides a layer of space between the brown shipper and the art box. Because my brown shippers often come dented with holes in them, and if that is hitting the brown shipper, then it's going to be hitting the art box and potentially hurting some stuff inside. One thing I don't like with these styrofoam corners is most of them now look like this, all broken apart and busted up. Now, it is holiday season, so packages tend to not be as carefully handled as others, but this is going to make reselling the statue, if I ever wanted to do that, a little bit more inconvenient for me. Because all the styrofoams, almost all of them are broken, so now I'm going to have to add my own extra padding if I ever wanted to sell it. Now, I'm not big on selling statues, but I know a lot of you collectors are, so I did want to notate that in my video today. So now, let's get started and let's get this guy opened up. So as you can see, the art box is very similar to what we got with the Amazing Spider-Man and the symbiote costume as well. The only difference being is this one heavily features the Green Goblin. Green Goblin picture on the front. On top of the box, it does still say the Amazing Spider-Man. So I do like that all these statues that are coming out for the Spider-Man statue line do have similar boxes and similar themes. Now, this is the companion piece to Spider-Man because they have similar style bases. Spider-Man is rising up out of the Goblin bombs, and now here's the Green Goblin who's sailing around and trying to kill Spider-Man. So let's just get this guy opened up. Now, I thought I was expecting a smaller box with this piece. Maybe that's just because my last Sideshow statue was the Wolverine premium format, which is one of the smaller premium formats from Sideshow, and so I was kind of expecting a little bit something a little bit smaller, but I was actually surprised that this was actually a bigger box from Sideshow. Yeah, I really dig the art box on these Spider-Man statues. I think they're super cool. Now, even though art boxes are always just going to go sit in the garage, and pretty soon they're actually going to go sit in a storage spot for me, it is still a part of that unboxing experience, which is what I named this show for. You know, you get a new statue, first thing you're going to see is that art box, so it sets the tone for the rest of that initial experience. So that's what my favorite part of collecting is all about, is the first time you get to open one of these guys up. So you open it, you see that art box, it just sets your excitement for what's to come. let's take a look inside the box here. I always like it to take a little picture of this, a video of it, so if I'm ever repackaging the statue, I can see where everything goes. Now, first thing I'm looking for is to see if there are any broken pieces. And right off the bat, I am seeing a loose piece of purple. So I'm not sure exactly where this one is going to go, but we're going to find out. If anything is broken, it looks like it might be a piece that gets glued on and it's not necessarily broken. So right now I'm optimistic, but I like to check first, make sure if I see any other loose pieces in there, and thankfully I do not. So we'll figure out, looks like it might be one of the straps that goes on his arms. Looks like I might be missing one here on the right. But like I said, just looking at it right away, doesn't look like a break. Looks like I'll possibly just be able to glue that back together. So we'll see how that goes. All right, first thing is the base. Already looks big. And it does feel heavy. Not as heavy as, let's say, Doctor Strange felt, but yeah, pretty heavy. I'd say heavier than I remember the Amazing Spider-Man feeling, but not quite as heavy as one of the heavier statues I have, like Doctor Strange. Let's see, we got number 692 of 2000. Yeah, not a super high edition size, but not a super low edition size either. There's no exclusive version with this statue, so 2000 is 2000, that's what you get. So I'm not big into edition sizes, but hey, these are collectibles. You don't want them to be common, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be collectible. This looks like a part of his sled. Looks like we got the other part of his sled here. Yeah, that doesn't want to easily go in there. Oh, at the right angle it does. So had some resistance at first, but it easily went in there. Now a lot of people were talking about the color of the statue. In Sideshow's unboxing video, it looked a lot more yellow. But it is a more orange colored, similar to what you have on the Spider-Man premium format. It looks like I have Green Goblin's little satchel full of goblin bombs. Even though this is a satchel, hey, it's got some good weight to it. You know, let's get the body of the Green Goblin here. Be super careful with this. He does have some really thin pieces to his costume. Right around here. It does feel flexible. Probably PVC here. Which I don't really mind, is because you don't, if these are too stiff around the edges here, they're definitely gonna break. So there's the Green Goblin here. And I can see where my missing strap is, right here. Along his arm. Now, luckily for me, it does appear that it's not a break, but that it's just a piece that was glued on that fell off. So that's going to be something I can fix myself. Alright, so let's set him on the base here. He's got this one little peg in his forward leg that slides in pretty good, pretty easily. There you go there. Now how am I gonna fix that little thing on his arm? Little missing thing. Well, one trick that I found is my wife actually has a little thing of nail glue that she uses for her fingernails. So it's just dispenses the tiniest bit of glue. It's a really tiny little small bottle. So I have found that really useful for gluing on small pieces to my statues, and also fixing sometimes some of the fabric on the premium formats. The glue, after some time, like on my T800 Terminator, tends to come off. The straps tend to unglue, and I found it to be useful just to put a tiniest little dab of glue on those. So guys, we go to the store and we buy makeup brushes. Don't be afraid to go to the store and buy some nail glue too. Alright, the last thing we got here is the head. Be careful with that as well. He's got a couple of thin ears here. Now the ears don't appear quite as thin as and flexible as the rest of his costume, the thinness of his costume. This one appears to be molded out of polystone like the rest of him, but it does look like he has some mold lines or some seam lines around his ears, so it looks like they are separate pieces as well. And you can tell it if you look, you can see the seam lines if you're looking with the head upside down, but right side up. They're somewhat noticeable around the face and the ears, but it's not like Incredible Hulk noticeable. So just looking at the portrait, I think it's really good. Again, Sideshow did a great job with the teeth, something they haven't always done in the past. No googly eyes here. They're straight, staring at me. Like the details that you have here with the threading on his hat. And then we'll slap that on there. So a pretty easy assembly for the Green Goblin. We do have a couple of pieces here to add. We got the front of his sled, and we got his satchel here, which looks like it's going to go on his side here. That looks like it would sit right there. So I might take his head back off. The flexible pieces on his costume. See if I could do that without having to bend it. I'm gonna have to take a look at some pictures and see how best to put on that satchel. All right, so there we go. His satchel is on. It is a little tricky to get on, but the edges around his costume are, PVC plastic, so they can be moved and handled and kind of gently bent out of the way. Gently, very, very, very gently out of the way. You don't want to try to bend those too much, but you can squeeze this leather strap in there. Right, so here he is. Green Goblin, premium format from Sideshow. Let me get some of these boxes and stuff out of the way, and we'll take a closer look. Okay, collectors, here I am, back with the Green Goblin premium format figure from Sideshow. Now, what were some of my concerns upon seeing production photos, seeing that unboxing video from Sideshow, and seeing some in-hand photos? Well, one of my biggest concerns was how the green was looking on the Green Goblin. In photos and in video, it looked very, very much one color of green, without a lot of different shading, and it just looks kind of plain and sort of blah. So looking at this guy up close, I can tell you that he doesn't look that way in person. He does have some varied shades and tones of green, from light to dark. Dark picking out the shadows and recesses of his muscles. Now, one thing that I am noticing here is that he is losing some details in his scales on his body. It's not like a big put off, but you know that that can be picked out a lot better. So it did lose some details in that area, you know, kind of around his thighs and then up around his shoulders. It is losing a lot of detail, and some of the paint kind of doesn't look the greatest in that areas. Not that it's bad, but you see it and you just know it could be a little bit better. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, one thing that I like to check with the paint is I like to check around the lines, especially where two very different colors sort of meet. So I'm looking around his pants and his leg here where the purple meets the green. You definitely don't want any over painting of purple on the green and vice versa. So the lines all look really clean, really good. You could say, you know, maybe on the purple of his costume, even though it does have some shading and highlights, it is a little bit, you know, maybe a little bit too flat. Yeah, it is good. The paint on the base, a lot of people were saying that it looked too yellow. It looked really, really yellow. But hopefully it's coming through on the camera here of how orange it is. It is a similar color to what is on the Spider-Man premium format. But Spider-Man's is much darker. Spider-Man's is an explosion coming up through the base. There's very dark tones in it. Where this one is coming out from his sled, so it is a different orange, but it's a very similar orange to that on the Spider-Man base. Now, if you don't like the Spider-Man base, you're not going to like the Green Goblin base either, because it is very similar. The paint is very similar. Probably could use some more highlighting in the whites here. Maybe some more darker colors in the recesses to be really, really good. But, you know, it's decent. There's some orange, you know, highlights around the bottom, you know, coming up through where it exits the sled. Now, the sled itself is done really, really good. Paint looks really clean. Looks really nice and smooth. Yeah, no issues, no problems. Now, I did have one problem with the little strap on his arm coming loose during shipping. That's already been fixed with just a hint of glue. I'm going to talk a little bit about his costume, because premium formats, you know, are mostly known for their mixed media, but lately Sideshow is doing more sculpted pieces. Looking at this, you're not going to have to look up close and see, is it mixed media or is it sculpted that it's so good? You can clearly tell that this is sculpted on. So maybe it's missing a little bit of texture to take it up a little bit higher level, but it is still pretty good. You do still have some varying textures, like here where it's more leather rather than cloth, and then he does have some nice stitching around and throughout the costume, which is nicely detailed and does have some good contrast there and some good texture to his costume. I'm looking at the belt here. He's got a little, you know, Goblin symbol on his belt here, and, you know, really small, really tiny. Does have some good paint on there. Now, looking at his face, especially looking at the eyes and in his mouth and with his teeth, super good job. Yeah, have no problems there. You can see the paint inside the mouth. The teeth are all picked out nice and clean. Really, really good. Eyes are, you know, straight ahead and just, you know, piercing into you. There you go. Yeah, overall pretty good. You can take a look at some of the smaller details in this Goblin bomb. Yeah, looks really good. Got green underneath, orange on the outside. There's not any green spilling over into the orange and vice versa. So, yeah, overall, it is a good quality Sideshow statue, right? Even the satchel is done well. You would normally expect at least the satchel on a statue like this from Sideshow to be mixed media, but Sideshow went fully sculpted here, even with the satchel. Yeah, I think I like it better than if it was like a leather satchel. It's heavier. Sometimes those leather satchels tend to be really thin and flat and lack dimension. So fully sculpted, it definitely had some more dimension to the statue. The strap itself does feel, I wouldn't call it leather, but leather-like material. So there is the tiniest bit of mixed media on there. Overall, I'm happy that I got the Green Goblin. I think he's going to be great sitting next to the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm actually going to put them on opposite sides of my bookshelf. I got Spidey up here on top, and I think I got a spot here for Green Goblin. I think they're going to look good, standing across from each other on opposite sides of the room with various Marvel pieces in between. It's just the way I have my room set up. And I think they're going to look really good next to each other. Really good quality Sideshow statue. Is it going to blow your mind? Nope. Are you going to be happy with it? Yep, you definitely are. I'm really happy that I got it. Some of the details could be better. $520 for a statue. You're going to get good quality from Sideshow. So yeah, I definitely so far am happy with it. If you have the Amazing Spider-Man, I definitely recommend it. If there's some things about the Amazing Spider-Man that you didn't like the base, then maybe this isn't going to be the statue for you. But overall, solid effort from Sideshow. Another good Marvel statue from them. Reasonably priced. Reasonable edition size. Not too low, but not too high either. So thanks for joining me on this latest episode of the unboxing experience. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be putting up a full review of this statue in the coming weeks. Also, check out my show called Statue Talk, where Kwong and I sit around and just talk about upcoming statue previews, pre-orders, updates to our collection. That comes out every 2 Saturdays. Thanks again for joining me. This has been Joe Prodzik for Statue Review. And remember, statue collecting is more than just a hobby, it's a lifestyle.